This is a Maserati MC20. It is a massive statement of intent from Maserati since they left the Ferrari family into the loving arms of the Stellantis group. And this looks like a proper weapon. Mid-engined, carbon fibre tub, weighs 1,500 kilograms. And it's got a 3-litre twin turbocharged engine, V6. Very similar in spec, if not identical, to the 296 GTB, but minus the hybrid, so you've got less weight. So it's their own take on their engine. It's called the Nettuno. So the whole car is their own making. First time I've driven it. This car's been around for a few years, but I never got my hands on it. So today is that day. What a beautiful car. This thing, it just oozes charm and confidence in the styling. It's typically Italian. Someone's really thought out where to put everything, all the design cues, the beautiful Alcantara seats, super comfortable to sit in as well. So you immediately feel like this is a car you could travel some distance in. Even if you can't stow any kit, this would be a lovely car to take for a long drive. And ergonomically, it does feel a bit like a Ferrari. Good position on the steering wheel, the helm is cool, visibility is fantastic. Slightly quirky, got this digital rear view mirror, not a big fan of those. Objects appear a lot closer than they really are. Never trust a camera rear view mirror, but you know, you can always use the sides. But yeah, it's quality. A nice big screen up here, and it feels fairly opulent. A lot of carbon fibre, and it feels like you've really got a bit of Maserati about you. Some DNA in this, because you know you're driving something that looks good from the outside as well. The question is, how does it actually drive? And I've got quite high hopes for this. It's mid-engine. It's got a lot of the attributes of the 296, which I found to be one of the best cars I've ever driven, and certainly one of the best Ferraris. Now Maserati's got its own path, and it's interesting, just as I'm going along, I can feel a sort of slight resonance going through the chassis, just humming through it. Even just going in a straight line, the car is kind of walking its way through some of the bumps. Oh, and there's quite a lot of bounce, in fact, which I didn't expect. Now, that might just mean that it's got some soft suspension, but let's dig into the brake a little bit. Whoa-y. Okay, brakes. The brake pedal's a little bit long, and here we go into a corner. Let's see what happens in here. So the throttle response is a little fly-by-wiry. There's definitely something going on here. I can feel immediately the car feels quite stiff on the spring, but not very controlled vertically on the damping. And so there is this kind of resonance in the suspension that I'm not entirely in control of. If you're watching this film and thinking you'd like your own stylish drift machine, you could do a lot worse than getting hold of something like a Mercedes AMG. But before you take the plunge, the best thing to use is carVertical to make sure that the car's not a dud or been stolen, damaged irreparably, and basically become a bad investment. So all you need to do is go to carVertical and put in the VIN number or the registration of the car you're looking to buy, and it spits out a full report. In this case, I've got a very nice looking Mercedes C43 AMG, and the photos looks like an absolute stunner. Very well shot, showroom sort of standard stuff. The mileage looks good. It's got a very healthy sort of steady linear graph, so it's not had the clock wound back. Financial and legal is okay. It's got a lease, but that's pretty normal. Only slight problem is it's a stolen car, which could be bad. After you spent tens of thousands of pounds on this beautiful car, someone knocks on the door and reclaims it and robs you basically of all your cash. So to avoid mistakes like that, use carVertical. Use my exclusive discount code BCD to get 20% off when you use carVertical, or click on the link in the description below to find out more. And make sure you stay safe when you're buying your next car. It turns in nicely. I'm just feeding in the power. It's got lovely torque. So the engine is there, the performance is there. 630 brake horsepower is what's quoted. Not quite sure it's got that. I'd give it maybe 575 is how it feels underfoot. 1,500 kilograms, so perhaps that's partly to blame. It's just a little edgy. Feeling the weight transfer, and there's a shimmy. There's just a shimmy in the chassis. It just feels very slightly uncontrolled. Not quite what I was expecting. Quite quiet from the motor as well. That turbocharged 3-litre is quite gentle. Now she's feeding the power in. Oh, nice. The auto gearbox as well, it's not so aggressive. There's a little bit of a time lag. It does feel like a system from a little bit previous decade, but it's getting the job done. But those brakes, man, I mean, they're big. Those big carbon brakes, you would expect a little bit more performance from them than what I'm getting. And I'm actually having to put a lot of brake pressure in to get it to slow me down. So it doesn't feel quite as sporty a ride or stop and go as you get from a Ferrari. A little bit disappointed in that, because last time I was here was in the mighty MC12, which was a wonderful, wonderful car. Loads of aerodynamics, perhaps a little bit underpowered by modern standards, but it was really fantastic. From the heyday of the FIA GT racing series, and Maserati just plugged that in to their road car. Yeah, it's funny, there's a mix of understeer when the car squats. If you don't get the thing pointed in quite right, it sits down on the rear suspension and you get a little bit of understeer coming out of the corner when you don't expect it. It really feels like I'm doing things with the car that it's not exactly designed for. It's not precise. Stunning, great power, done a lovely job with the engine, and the torque delivery is fantastic. But the gear change, it's slightly all over the place. I've put it into as manual a mode as I think I can. I've gone beyond Corsa into ESC off mode. So this is its raciest mode. A lot of fun, but it's definitely quirky. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to spend too long driving it like this before I'm probably going to overheat something, certainly going to melt the tyres. Love it. Get a little video of the bonfire I've just lit at the back end up in the head mirror here. Oh, it leaps around, I can just feel it. Bouncy, bouncy. I think what this car does resemble, though, is a real statement of intent from Maserati to get back into their sports cars.
Maserati's golden era was the 1950s. Juan Manuel Fangio won the 1957 Formula One World Championship in the 250F, while teammate Stirling Moss mopped up the rest in both Formula One and sports car racing. Moss made the cars dance with his balletic driving style, and I had the honour of playing the role of Moss in Michael Mann's Ferrari movie, where he famously raced through the entire field in the Mille Miglia 1957 before crashing out when the brake pedals snapped off. I also filmed the scene where Deportago had his horrific crash, killing the occupants as well as 10 members of the public and marking the end of the Mille Miglia. Maserati returned to racing in 2004 with the mighty MC20, a carbon fibre V12 monster based loosely on the Enzo Ferrari. The road car was sensational to drive, and the track version won 5 FIA GT Constructors titles. They were literally unstoppable, so unstoppable that the MC12 is the reason the FIA kicked off their balance of performance rules to try and equalise the competition to make sure such dominance didn't happen again. It was one of the best cars I ever lapped on Top Gear. Perfectly balanced, powerful and buttery smooth. So the MC20 has some big shoes to fill.
And on that note, I really salute what they're doing, because they're following that up now with the Extrema and their other recent models. There's clearly a new mission statement of Maserati to get back to the racing roots. You've got to remember, back in the day, Fangio, Moss, they were massive names in motorsport. Maserati was one of the teams to beat. They went toe-to-toe, head-to-head with Ferrari and all the other top brands. They've got a fantastic racing heritage, so it's right that they have a sports car like this. It's the first one out of the gate for many years, and I am plucking this back from 2020 to review it now, which is a little bit late to the party. But Forza Italia, at the end of the day, I don't care if it's a little bit rough around the edges. It's the kind of car that makes you really proud when you see a brand going for it. They put themselves out there after a few years out of the game to come back with something extraordinary like this.
Oh shit, here we go again.
If I can just stick that back on. like that. I'm just gonna put that there. Carry on.
And that, my friends, is the sound of the death of a tyre, marking the end of this review.